All right, here we are, off topic with Tim and Matt, our fantastic, sparky little sports podcast where we always go off topic. All right, so hockey. Let's talk a little hockey here.
Hockey.
All right, you kids out there. No, I'm not doing Don Cherry. All right, so the big news in hockey these days, of course, is Ovechkin beating Gretzky. The NHL playoffs are coming off, but a little closer to home, there's Ovi. There's Ovi.
Yep.
A little closer home. News broke on Sportsnet with Elliot Freeman a little while ago. The Penticton Vees are getting a WHL team, and Chilliwack has been approved to get their own WHL team here, not in this coming, not obviously this season's going to end, not starting next year, but it'd be the year after. A lot of things have to happen before that can happen, like ownership and finding a team. It's not that simple. But Penticton's got it in everything's in place for Penticton to say goodbye to the BCHL, and it's going to cost them about $15 million to get a WHL team in there.
Yeah, so they're all ready to go up there in Penticton, and here we got the application process is in place. The expansion franchise has been awarded to Penticton Vees.
Yes.
They've approved it for Chilliwack.
Yes.
But they don't have a team.
No.
They don't have an owner. They don't have any ideas.
So the only thing I'm confused about, and I meant to make a phone call on this, is how do you get approved for something when, technically speaking, no one's applied for it? You know what I mean?
I mean, there has to have been interest.
I guess.
The conversations in the hockey world that Dan Fraser, the commissioner of the WHL, or Dan Neer, sorry, the commissioner of the WHL, has had with other hockey people that Chilliwack's a good place for it.
Yeah. Oh, it is. See, the nice thing about Chilliwack, it's a gateway community. So you got people coming from Prince George, from the interior, from the island, up from the States, and they all converge at Chilliwack, and they stay at the hotels here. They could play a game, break up the trip, and go do another game.
Yeah,
and you'll still see at the Coast Hotel, you'll still see the team buses stopping in Chilliwack.
Yeah.
They stay a night, and then they keep going. So this is like a hub community, and it works.
Yeah, because you're right on the cusp of the mountains of
Right.
the three different
Well,
freeways.
we're in the gateway.
So, yeah.
We're in the gateway, right?
So,
Like
the gateway to the Okanagan.
to the north, the Okanagan, and to the U.S. because
Yeah.
we're so close to the border.
Yeah.
There's two problems. The first one we touched on. So far, as far as I know, there's no owner.
Yeah, no ownership.
So this is not cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like sticks cost you $500, skates cost you $1,500. Like that's just equipment. We have the building. We'll get a lease from the city, and the lease isn't that expensive, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
There's another problem, and this is probably just as big as the first problem. Things did not end well with the WHL in Chilliwack when they left the first time.
Well, that's back in 2011, the Bruins.
It is. I was here. I was working as a news reporter. We covered the Bruins at the time at the radio station, and it was a really big deal. I
Yeah.
was very much in the thick of it. So, taking you back a little bit, back in the day, 100 years ago, when Wayne Bjorgi was, had knees and could play hockey, you had the old Coliseum, the old Chilliwack Coliseum.
The barn.
The barn. And it was like, what was it, Wayne, like 1,500 seats? Yeah, it wasn't very big, okay? But they had teams. And they had the BCHL, was the old Chilliwack Chiefs, and they had, I think, the Jets. And they were sort of lower tier teams. BCHL is great hockey. I cannot tell the difference between that and the WHL, but it's considered a lower tier, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yep.
The great thing about the Coliseum is everybody went to the games.
Yes.
And they had, row E, section E, were all the troublemakers, the guys with the flags and the Budweisers and the drums, and they would, get in all sorts of trouble. The RCP would kick them out, and they'd come back the next game and have all sorts of fun. I know talking to people, they would give their 12-year-old kid $10, drop them off at the game with a ticket, and then come back 2 hours later and pick them up. So they could buy a pop and a drink and a hot dog, and they could run around the arena, and everybody knew everybody, and the kids were perfectly safe.
Yeah.
It was a safe place to put your kids. That was the kind of atmosphere they had. And it worked. Sold out all the time. Everybody liked going to the games. And it wasn't a big place, so you didn't need a lot of people to fill it. Chilliwack decided, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I wasn't here when the decisions were made. I'm not knocking anybody. The building was getting pretty old. They wanted to take it next level, so they built the current Chilliwack Coliseum, which at the time when I got here in 2009 was the Prospera Center.
Yes.
And they wanted to get a WHL team in. Now, there's a couple of problems with the WHL. with that team. One, you have to have a minimum of 4,500 seats.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's hard. There's not too many CHL teams across Canada that sell out. I know the Ottawa 67s did it forever. I know the Peterborough Petes did it forever. Windsor was doing really good for a long time. And then, of course, Kamloops was a community-run team for a very long time until a bunch of guys like Mark Recchi and everybody bought it, and then things sort of changed. So it's hard to fill that many seats.
Yes.
Now,
Yep.
ownership, it wasn't ideal for the city. It was guys like Glenn Sather, Brian Burke, who were businessmen, and they brought a guy in who has since passed away. Poor soul died of cancer, and I met him, Daryl, many times, and he was a nice guy.
Right.
But he didn't understand community. You know what I mean? You need local ownership for people that understand why this is important to Chilliwack. You can't really be the cold sort of businessman, if you know what I mean, right? So the ownership group just didn't work for Chilliwack, and they kind of turned a lot of people off. And then all of a sudden, they decided they're going to sell the team, and boom, the team went to Victoria. And it left a lot of bad blood. Like, it was a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. It was not good. And then they brought the Chiefs back. They bought the old millionaires from Quesnel.
Yeah.
And they're hard pressed to get, I don't know what the attendance is, but the place is half empty most of the time.
Well, it's funny because when we do football events down there, the Huskers or whatnot, and it's a hockey night, that parking lot's packed.
It is.
And they make you park around the other far side of the road. Because they need all the parking that they can get.
Yeah, but it's not a big parking lot too. You're forgetting that part.
That was going to be my next point. It's not a huge parking lot, but it's packed.
Yeah.
Right? And which is good. But when you're trying to keep the lights on in a building as big as Prospera, you need more.
Yeah.
You need more. So I mean, it's tough. It'll be interesting to see if maybe they split the building now.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's another thing. Are the Chiefs going to stick around? Because I know we do have the Jets.
Yeah.
And I knew we had the Chiefs. Now, mind you have to remember the schedules for, say, the Jets and the Chiefs right now, it's not quite as big. They don't play as many games as the WHL.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's I think it's about 3/4 fewer games. You're paying about 60 games instead of, I think it's 72. And then you're on the road, so the building's free for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And then you could get, if you have a lower tier, you're playing even fewer games, and then you can fill the building, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that have to happen. I'm not, I will go see a WHL game. And the one WHL thing the WHL has over a BCHL is a lot of the guys, the kids playing, have already been drafted.
Yes. Yeah.
And they get to play out their last 2 years. So if I'm a Habs fan, and Montreal has a pick that's playing with, Everett or Seattle or even Chilliwack, I can go see these prospects play right here at home.
Yeah.
Right? It's a big deal. I haven't gone to the AHL to see our current team, but anyway, whatever.
The AHL is in Abbotsford.
It's in Abbotsford, but I can go see the Canadians farm team.
Yeah.
That's the allure for me, right?
So I've been there to see the Kings farm team.
Yeah, of course.
Which is fun. And you got the Canucks farm team.
Yeah.
Right? Our players that are coming back and have to get some ice time before they go back up to the bigs.
Yeah.
It's fun. And that's actually quite busy most nights.
Oh, okay.
And most games, the Abbotsford arena there is busy. It's busy when the Canucks are playing. Maybe it's not packed.
Yeah.
If they're in the playoffs, it's going to be busier.
Right.
Right. But
it's decent.
It is a good night out.
Yeah.
It is a good, affordable night out.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Chilliwack can offer families is an affordable night out.
Yeah.
Now,
and it's entertaining. Like WHL and even BCHL, I find it really entertaining. AHL is even better because they're playing for a paycheck and you can really tell the difference. But anyway, go ahead.
So before the Giants moved to Langley, they were at the Pacific Coliseum.
Yes.
And we would do family night, and it was like $100. You got 4 tickets, 2 adult and 2 pirate packs from White Spot, and parking.
Oh, okay.
For $100.
Yeah.
That was an affordable night out.
Yes.
We could take the boys and go, right? The prices started to increase there. They moved to Langley. I think they still keep the family nights on some nights.
Probably.
Right? I think they still do, but it's more than $100 because everything inflation.
Yeah.
Right? But when you have something like that, and Abbotsford I know does it too. They do a lot of promotions to get families in. give tickets away to kids a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because then if your kid's going, well, the parents got to buy a ticket too.
Yeah.
And the parents got to buy some food.
And
right?
the kids grow up going to the hockey games they keep doing as adults.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So their season ticket packages are quite affordable. So I got quite a few friends who buy the season tickets.
Oh, okay.
Because it's affordable. You can,
Yeah.
a couple of buddies can buy 4 seats and split games.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
You know. So I mean, like, as long as you keep it something that's affordable for the kids but paying the bills,
Yeah.
it'll have success.
Yeah.
It's when they want to get rich quick,
Yeah.
you know, then you start having problems. Don't charge $15 for parking. Charge $5.
Yeah.
You know, it's just little things.
Well, the buildings, you got to remember the parking, the teams don't own the buildings.
Yeah.
It's civically owned. So anything they charge just covers the cost of operating the building.
Yeah.
Hockey arenas and football stadiums and theaters and all those kind of venues have one thing in common. They're empty most of the time.
Yes.
And with hockey, ice is expensive because you've got to keep it cold and there's chemicals involved and Freon. I mean, you know, you build a hockey or a baseball stadium or a football stadium, it's artificial turf.
You water the grass.
Or if you have natural grass, you just got to water it. It's
Yeah.
a little bit, grass is a little more complicated, whatever. I'm not going to get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But I mean, artificial turf, you lay it down, you replace it every 5 years or 10 years or whatever. It's cheap. Ice is not cheap. Ice is expensive.
I agree with you.
And you got to get the lights on, and people have to be paid to maintain it. And it's civic, it's expensive. Like, it's a lot of money. So they don't, the $15 you're paying for parking just basically keeps the lights on, right?
Yeah.
City of Abbotsford does not make money off that facility. They're just trying to make it so it's not too much of a drag on civic coffers. They got to just at least break even.
Well, I think that's the thing that you've got to look at. Like, I know the Abbotsford Arts Center, as they call it, does concerts.
Yeah.
You know, they do trade shows. They do monster trucks. Like they'll do anything and everything in there to pay for that building.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get the building at a decent price if you wanted to do something in
Yeah.
there.
I go to the RV show a few times.
Yeah. So I mean, they do a lot of stuff outside of the hockey.
Right.
But you need to keep it affordable so families can want to keep coming. And I think that's what Abbotsford has done nicely. And if they do this bring this WHL into Chilliwack, they got to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
But there's so many what ifs. Like, who's going to own the team?
Yeah.
It's like Slapshot. Who owns who? Who owns the team?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We'll find out one of these days.
2026, 2027. They look
I
like
know
they're gonna
Clint
start up.
Hames, and I meant call Clint and say, hey, what's going on? He might just be the mayor of Chilliwack, and he was the mayor when they built the new Prospera, now Coliseum. So, well, I just didn't get around to it. I think he's out of town anyway. Okay, so Ovi. Okay.
Crosby.
Ovi, let's go Ovi first. So Ovi, what was the day yesterday? The 5th?
The 5th.
The 6th?
No, 4th.
The
No,
4th?
5th.
5th is the 6th. The 5th, April 5th, the year of our Lord, 2025. I'm checking my phone for the date. Alexander Ovechkin, Alexander the Great, tied Wayne Gretzky for most goals, 894
In a career.
in a career, and he did it in one less game, which is remarkable how anybody could
Yeah.
even tie it, let alone do it in one less game. So I think they play tonight. He should win it tonight. He should get it. Just an amazing career. He's the most dynamic player. I love Crosby. Crosby's a little quieter. He's a little more Jordan. This guy's a little more, I don't know, out there. He makes noise. He does silly things. He's outlandish. He's dynamic. He's fun to watch. He goes to All-Star games and puts on silly hats with Canadian flags in it and goes for the shootout with 2 sticks, and he goofs around, and everybody loves Ovi.
It was Friday he tied it. It wasn't
Friday he
yesterday.
tied it.
Friday
That's
the 4th. Yeah.
Friday the 4th. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't play yesterday.
That's
So they're
right.
playing
Yeah, and then
today.
they play tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and he got 2 goals. So he was down by 2 and was able to tie it up in one last game.
Yeah.
Which is, when you think about it, I mean, great. One last game. But he suffered 2 broken legs.
Oh, yeah.
He was out a lot of the time that he played.
He had some bad seasons, too. He had some real dry spells.
So I don't know if that total is played games or how many games he's been in the league.
It'd have to be played games.
Maybe he's played games.
It'd have to be played games. Yeah, there's
So,
no other way around.
But anyway, you look at it, and it was funny because I don't know if this was AI or not, but it looked like it was an interview with Ovi, right? He was like, "Oh, the Canadians are going to be upset. The Russians are going to take their scoring title. They're all upset about this." But I'll tell you, we had it all along because Gretzky's a Soviet name, right? And I couldn't stop laughing.
He's great.
I think it was an AI because you see a lot of them now.
Yeah.
That makes it funny.
Yeah.
But if it was Ovi that said that, I think that
I wouldn't be surprised in the
whoever
least.
came up with that, I was killing
Very
myself
good.
laughing.
And now, of course, Sidney Crosby,
Sid the Kid.
Sid the Kid, who's still playing after 20 years, he's now hit the point per game total for his entire career of 19 years.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable what that guy's done. And he's so quiet about it, and he's so understated. And I read a great article in the Athletic. You're seeing the twilight of greatness with Crosby right now, and Ovi. But I mean, Crosby will not take his foot off the accelerator till the clock strikes zero on the season.
No,
he just doesn't. Even if he knows he'll be eliminated. He knows the Penguins aren't going to be in the playoffs this year, and he just pushes it. And every single game, he works as hard as he does in any other game. Dick Irvin said this about Guy Lafleur. He played as hard against the expansion Colorado Rockies as he did in the playoffs against the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
He never took his foot off the accelerator. So,
yeah,
twilight of greatness. And, the nice thing is we got Connor Bedard coming up,
Yeah.
Connor McDavid. I'm going to say it, Nick Suzuki. Who's my guy? Oh, my God. The little guy. Cole Caulfield.
Yeah.
Cole Caulfield
yeah.
coming up. There's some really good talent ready to step up and fill those shoes moving forward.
Well, and that's it. When you talked about Gretzky, or you talked about Gretzky here. It's like,
Yeah.
and this was an interview that he had. Is that when he retired and Messier retired and Mario retired,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, it's going to be a void in hockey,
Patrick Waugh, yeah.
right? But then you had the next group step up,
Yeah.
and then you had Sid and Ovi step up.
Yeah.
You're always going to have somebody. Right now, you got Connor McDavid, and you got Connor Bedard, and like Nick Suzuki that are going to step up and take that spotlight.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be somebody there. Are they going to be as great as? When you think about the Messier, Lemieux, Gretzky era, arguably one of the greatest eras of hockey.
Unreal.
Are they going to be as great as that? No.
Different league, but it's a different league too, right?
Right, but you're talking about the entertainment value of that era.
Yeah.
Right? The entertainment value of the Oilers in their heyday was phenomenal. Everybody wanted to watch the Oilers play because they were just phenomenal.
Right.
But you go back to 81, 82, and it was the Islanders,
right? Before that, it was the Montreal Canadiens.
They were going a lot before that. But I get what you're saying.
No, they're the Canadiens. It was like 30 years of the Canadiens. It was Montreal.
But then they got the seventh team, and it got harder. But
no, they still won.
but you're going to get these teams that are going to be entertaining, and people are going to watch. You can get these players, like we were talking about off topic, is off the show was the Olympics.
Yeah,
they're going back to the Olympics,
Thank
so you're going to see new heroes rise up in the Olympics for different countries that are going to start to put the game on their back, because there's not going to be an Ovi next year. There's not going to be a Sid the Kid next year. So you got to take a look at it.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the playoffs. I'm going to gush about my Habs. So I go on my phone and I get my news feed, and I call it my crap news. What to wear for this spring, like that kind of crap, right? Look what such and such celebrity wore at such and such a thing. Like, nobody cares. It's garbage, but of course it's mindless, and you can't help but look at it because it's so. So someone goes on and says, Debnadov, who is I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, is the Russian sniper that Montreal picked 5th overall in the draft last year.
Right.
He should have gone first. San Jose, everybody went with somebody else, and there he was sitting 5th when Montreal wanted him and got him. Some smart ass put down he signed for and stay in his Russian team for 2 more years. So under the KHL rules, he had to play 1 year. He plays his year, and then he can come to the NHL. So everybody in Montreal is like chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth, waiting for his KHL career to end so he can go to Laval and go to the NHL next year. All of a sudden, I see this article in 2 different blog posts. Oh no, he signed on for Russia for 2 more seasons, and I am not happy about this. I'm calling my cousin in Montreal. Have you heard anything? I'm sending him messages. I'm trying to find out reporters on Sportsnet so I can message them and find out. It was an April Fool's joke that I did not find very funny. It was not funny. Ivan Demidov. Not funny at all. So yeah, he's coming to the probably going to be Laval in the AHL next year, along with Oliver Kapanen from Sweden.
Yeah.
And he could be the next. He could be the next Ovechkin. Apparently, this kid is the real deal sniper, like real deal. So, fingers crossed. And my Habs beat Philly to go up 2 points extra on the Rangers. So they lead New York by 4 points now. And they probably have to win one more game, and New York probably has to lose one more game, and then Montreal's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Right now, they're holding on to the final playoff
Yes.
spot in the Eastern Conference. So they are the 5th team in the Atlantic, but they're ahead of the 4th team in the Metropolitan. So,
You know what? I really wish they'd just go 1-8. I sincerely wish they'd just go 1-8 in the conference and just like in this wild card nonsense. It's driving me nuts.
but they don't. But there's 2 divisions in the conference.
Yeah, I
So
know.
How do you do 1-8?
Simple. You take the top 8 teams in the conference and you go on to the playoffs.
That's what you're doing.
No, you got this wild card thing going on.
The top 3 from either
Okay.
division,
Yeah.
right?
And then there's.
there's
I don't
the other
understand,
2.
but I mean that the point is, why do you call it a wild card when you just the top 8 teams are getting
Because
in?
it could be from either of the divisions.
Okay.
Top 3 in the division, which I think is fair.
No,
Why?
because you get the points or you don't get the points. You get the wins or you don't get the wins. Agree to disagree. We could be here all day. However, who's your pick to go all the way in the NHL?
What's that?
Who do you want to win? And don't say the Kings.
That was, of course, the case. That's what I want to win.
Who do you think? Who do you think is going to get in? Who's going to go all the way?
I think Winnipeg's got a good chance this year in Dallas.
Yes.
Winnipeg and Dallas in the West. In the East, you got to look at Washington. They got a bang up goaltender, some big points there.
Tampa's in. They're always dangerous.
Tampa's dangerous. Toronto will be tough in the first round.
Sure. It's okay.
So
Sure.
But Carolina's interesting.
Yeah. Ottawa.
yeah.
I think Ottawa is going to lose to Toronto in the first round because Ottawa does that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
You can pretty much set your watch by it.
So, but I think Winnipeg and Dallas are 2 very strong teams. And Vegas, ever since Vegas came in, they've always been a contender.
I have.
So, but I mean, anything can happen. I think if the Kings can get past the Oilers in the first round for the first time in 4 freaking years.
Freaking years.
Yeah, I mean, 3 Game 7s just drive you nuts, man.
I know.
You know. So, but if they can get by the Oilers, the Kings could do some damage. They got a great defensive team. Their goaltender's standing on his head.
He's got to get hot.
Yeah, you know
Somebody's got to get hot. You got to have a hot goalie. I like Winnipeg because they got the best goalie in the league right now, Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Washington has a brilliant goalie. Okay, having said that, neither team is particularly. Washington's won a Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
but they're just not playoff teams. Winnipeg is not a playoff team. It pains me to say this. I want Winnipeg and Ottawa. Well, I want the Habs to go, obviously. But just for like to the NHL and that Winnipeg, Ottawa for a few years, then Habs win it for a few years against like Calgary, Vancouver, and then Ottawa against like Edmonton, and then Calgary, Winnipeg, and then Vancouver, and Toronto not in, and just Canadian teams back and forth for like 15 years, and all the, oh yeah, Gary Bettman, it's a conspiracy against Canadian teams. They haven't won it since he's been like, he doesn't control who the hell wins. Come on, grow up. But yeah, anyway, I love it if Winnipeg went all the way. It'd be awesome if Winnipeg went all the
I
way.
think it'd be great. I mean, we saw Edmonton in the final last year.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
was
think
exciting.
There's no conspiracies against any teams. I
No,
think
you
it's
just don't win. Montreal went
gotta
up
go play the
against
game.
Tampa, and they just lose to Tampa, and that's what they did in 5 games.
I mean, and if you look at it, the NHL is still 70% Canadian.
It is.
So they're Canadian kids winning on American teams. Good enough for me.
Yeah, it is. All right, and I think that's it for the NHL.
I think that's it for the NHL.
Hacky. Go Habs. Go at. Like and subscribe and comment. Tell us who your team is and why they're going to go all the way. I want to hear. I want to hear from you. Unless you're from Toronto, then just it's not going to happen. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get Ottawa in the first round, you might make it to the second round, but then you have to play a real team. So don't worry. It's not going to happen. All right.
A comment about how Tim's wrong about how the playoffs should be run. Where we always go.
Off topic. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe.